Able to fill tiny eclairs with thrilling fillings. Able to bring minis to the many. It's the mighty Mini-Man. Who, disguised as the Dunkin' Donuts baker, is making more varieties of Dunkin' Minis.
The chocolate, the jelly.
Than humanly possible.
The coconut.
Dunkin' Donuts, home of the mighty Mini-Man, where you'll find truth, justice, peanut butter, cinnamon, glaze.
This is WNBC for New York. And now, this is News for New York.
Good evening, I'm Ralph Penza. $1 billion for 2 hours work. Not a bad day for Boris Yeltsin if the money comes through. In their first face-to-face meeting since Bill Clinton became president, Clinton promised that $1 billion to the Russian leader, the money to come from Western nations. Clinton and Yeltsin got together in Vancouver, British Columbia. The president determined to see that Yeltsin and the democratic movement survive in Russia against a communist or nationalist takeover. Both leaders have an easygoing manner, and word is that they got along very well. We've got a report on the first summit session from Sandy Gilmour in Vancouver.
With their relationship described as increasingly friendly, Presidents Clinton and Yeltsin dined at an elegant Vancouver restaurant and continued talking about the hundreds of millions of dollars the U.S. hopes will prop up a shaky Russian democracy.
Very, very well. We had a terrific meeting. President Yeltsin, did you hear what you wanted to hear from President Clinton?
Больше услышал, чем надеялся услышать.
I heard more than I expected.
Clinton has thrown the prestige of his office behind Yeltsin as the savior of democratic forces and of a market economy. Earlier, Yeltsin said communists were out for revenge, but vowed to fight on.
We must understand that Russia is shedding one social order to assume another social order. That's why it is so difficult for us.
Clinton has concluded Russia is at a crucial crossroads and must have massive Western help. He believes if Russian democracy fails, he won't be able to cut defense spending, money he wants to spend on his own economic plan.
This is not in any way an act of charity that we're engaged in. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
The spin now is that this is not Russian aid, but an investment. Beyond the economics, the White House hopes the summit will bolster Clinton's standing as president, and each photo op has been carefully produced to enhance Clinton's image as in command of foreign policy.
The president was very pleased by the atmosphere of openness and candor, and he also just has a great personal feeling for President Yeltsin.
The two leaders have agreed to call each other by their first names, so now it's Bill and Boris. They meet again Sunday morning. Sandy Gilmour, NBC News, Vancouver, Canada.
At the summit, President Clinton said he believed that Japan would ease its opposition to aid to Russia and join the West in the billion-dollar aid package. As noted, Bill and Boris wind up their summit in Vancouver tomorrow. Attorneys for the suspects in the World Trade Center bombing are counting on a fair trial for their clients, of course, but they doubt they'll get one. The suspects' lawyer claim they still have no access to basic evidence involving the bombing. One attorney says he first learned of the letter claiming responsibility for the bombing when he read it in the New York Times. The lawyers complain that it'll be trial by leak and trial by media. And they say a potential jury has already been prejudiced by information leaked to reporters by investigators. Meanwhile, disaster aid from Washington is on the way to help the city with some of the costs of the bombing. The federal government will pick up as much as 75% of disaster-related expenses. Some things never change: death, taxes, and flooding in North Jersey. Now, after the rising waters of the past week, driven by heavy rains, comes the cleanup. Steve Dawson reports.
Wayne residents have been living like this for nearly a week. What's it like?
Pure chaos. It's unbelievable. I mean, the inconvenience and hardship people go through.
Here you see rowboats tied to mailboxes, hip waders tied around waists. The Passaic River bends around towns like Mountain View and the other communities in Wayne where the flooding hit the hardest. It's receding now after reaching 8.5 feet, almost 2 feet above flood level. Still, in places, water remains 4 feet deep.
Wayne Township was the hardest hit by flooding in the Passaic River Basin. In Wayne Township, Hoffman Grove was the hardest hit. This is the road into Hoffman Grove. As you can see, it is still impassable.
Early Saturday, Congressman Herb Klein toured the flooded areas where damage estimates are running as high as $15 million. Half the basin's 600 families have evacuated. Klein says the state is applying for federal assistance to help rebuild.
We're very, very helpful. We're going to get help for these people.
Still, longtime residents complain that politics continues to defeat a plan to divert the annual flooding by building an underground tunnel.
It's just a shame that the state just can't do more. I mean, I hear that they have plans and, you know, ready to go into effect, but nobody's doing anything. They supposedly want to take another survey. How many surveys do you have to take, really, you know?
Emergency officials say some residents will be able to return home by tomorrow, but for the residents of Hoffman Grove, it will be the middle of next week at the earliest. In Wayne, Steve Dawson, News 4, New York.
And what about other coastal areas? Is the flooding over? Ira Joe Fisher has a report now from the Weather Center for us. Ira?
Well, I would suppose the people of northern New Jersey are getting real impatient to hear the words, "It's over," Ralph. As yet, we cannot say that. We can say, though, the waters are very slowly receding. Let's look at the weather of the situation. That high-pressure ridge has inched its way now into the Great Lakes region, and that's the single greatest factor in causing the clouds to clear out from the low that's now east of Cape Cod. The flood threat area in the circle there, as we know, for the past several days in northern New Jersey, southeastern New York, and parts of Connecticut. As the high builds in, it will bring in drier northwest winds. They're cold, colder than this time of year usually, but they are drier. That's going to help also to dry up the floods. It's a slow process, but it's happening. We'll talk more about the specific forecast in moments. Ralph.
All right, we'll check back with you, Ira. And when News 4 New York comes right back as the Jewish holiday of Passover approaches, interesting question, might the standoff in Waco, Texas be winding down? Is there a connection? We'll have a report. Some New York moviegoers cry racism as a Hollywood star goes on a filmed rampage. And at least 44 people are hurt when a grandstand collapses in Cleveland. We're going to have that story, much more for you. Stay with us.
When you were a child, you were told we're all created equal. But now that you're a little older, you see things a bit differently. The new Lexus GS Luxury Performance Sedan. It's roomier, quieter, and rides smoother than cars costing thousands more. Maybe we are all created equal, but it doesn't have to stay that way. See your New York, New Jersey, Connecticut Lexus dealer for treatment that's unequaled.
I don't want to grow up. It's Baby Month at Toys R Us, the biggest baby event ever. Toys R Us has the world's largest selection of everything for your baby. Famous brand names at guaranteed everyday low prices. Everything from car seats, swings, strollers, high chairs, to diapers, bottles, and baby wipes. And now, during Baby Month, save up to $120 with Baby Bucks coupons you can pick up at any Toys R Us store. But hurry before it's all over. I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
It takes strength to go climbing 7 days a week. That's why one compact pickup powers you with the biggest full-size V6 engine you can get. Only Chevy S10 Tahoe 4x4. Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Surely it should have been a happy afternoon at the circus. Well, it ended in terror and injury for more than 40 children and adults. Happened in the Cleveland area. In a tent at the International Exposition Center, the German National Circus was performing an annual month-long run for children in the area. Police say a section of the grandstand collapsed, threw people to the floor. The injured were taken to 4 area hospitals. Most of those were treated had cuts, bruises, and broken bones. None reported to be serious, we understand. Hopes for a possible break in that standoff near Waco, well, they're rising slightly tonight. FBI agents say cult leader David Koresh is said to observe Passover as a time of transition, and the feds hope that this could signal a time to surrender. As Mark Strassman reports, the siege continues to attract all kinds of onlookers.
Maybe you see it as a case of kook karma, but to this bunch naysaying at one of the checkpoints here, the ATF is some extension of the Gestapo, marauding without cause or remorse against church innocents, cowering inside their sanctuary.
There's the brown shirts. Does that remind you of Hitler's brown shirts?
Well, no, at least not to ATF supporter Kathy Alexander.
It makes me sick. They call themselves the unorganized militia of the United States. Based on our observations this morning, they have definitely lived up to their title.
But there's little else to make anyone chuckle here. Today's magic number is 35, the number of days that have passed in the standoff and the number of people who've left the compound. And if that is any guide to the progress here, to when all this might end, consider this. More than 3/4 of the original group remain holed up inside the compound. And you can do the math on the calendar from there. It's the religious calendar everyone's now watching here. The approach of Passover, a significant holy day for the compound, a time of transition. That gives the feds hope, however tissue thin.
This is actually key or not, it's hard for us to speculate. Is it just another delaying tactic again? Only David Koresh can tell us that.
And until he does, the feds will have to listen to everyone else share their beliefs about the ongoing siege of Ranch Apocalypse. In Waco, Texas, Mark Strassman reporting for NBC News.
To other developments now, 6 young people are facing charges of going on a robbery rampage in the BMT subway. They took wallets and gold chains from passengers by brandishing toy guns and hurting one victim in the process. Transit police are still hunting for a 7th suspect. The young people range in age from 21 right down to 14. There's a new movie out that has made a lot of people mad enough to stage a protest at a Times Square theater. More from Mike Morris.
Please, eat your lunch. You all need your vitamins A's and B's and... It's an accident!
The movie Falling Down is widely seen as a vigilante revenge film, with Michael Douglas's character striking back at the ills of society. In reality, it's the story of a frustrated, psychotic loser venting his anger, and some minority groups are unhappy because they say that anger is being vented at them.
Asians and Hispanics are particularly upset about the movie Falling Down because of how they're portrayed in the movie, reinforcing negative stereotypes.
In a Midtown protest today, immigrant groups voiced their anger at the film. Suknam Chu represents Korean Americans for Social Concern.
The movie promotes and condones violence against Korean Americans and Asian Americans. In the movie, Michael Douglas going to Korean-owned store, and the Korean person is speaking with the accent. He starts ransacking the store, and it promotes violence against our community.
Warner Brothers denies the film is anti-immigrant, but nonetheless, Falling Down is given 2 thumbs down by these protesters.
What don't I like about it?
Yeah.
Oh, I resent the attacks on people of color.
Most of the people on this line weren't waiting to see Falling Down, but this man said the protesters didn't bother him.
I like to check it out. I never see it. I want to see it for myself.
These protesters are hoping their efforts will prevent others from doing just that. Reporting in Manhattan, I'm Mike Morris, News 4 New York.
Tonight, the movie's producers say the immigrant protesters missed the point of the movie. It's intended, they say, to show the folly of blaming immigrants and other people in general for your own problems. Still ahead on News 4 New York, we'll take a look back at a time as we visit a poster show. We're going to look ahead as we get ready to set clocks forward on daylight savings time. That's right, now, forward. And will the temperatures stay in tune with springtime? Ira Joe Fisher will be along with the forecast. Are you ready, Joe?
Cadillac has the answers to the question.
Your New York, New Jersey, and Fairfield County, Connecticut Mazda dealer now.
Perhaps you've noticed the days are getting longer, the nights are getting shorter, and to help move things along, daylight saving time kicks in a few hours from now. So before you go to bed, do not forget to set your clock ahead 1 hour, because if you don't, chances are you'll get off to a late start tomorrow morning, keep you off your stride.
The last time we changed the clocks, I was here to work an hour early. So instead of being here at 7 in the morning, I was here like at 6 and everybody laughed at me.
I don't see the point. And in this society, in this age, it was fine maybe 100 years ago for the farmers.
Will it be late or will it be early? When does it start?
Well, daylight saving time starts at 2 a.m. And we don't have to worry about turning the clocks back until October. Could we turn the weather clock ahead to, say, July?
Would that be nice?
Wouldn't that be great?
Think how nice it's going to be when we hit July. Oh, well, I wouldn't recommend it unless it's indoor. But let's look outside right now. You wouldn't want to go swimming, Ralph. It is 41 degrees, and the sky is still cloudy. And, oh, my goodness, is that Moby Dick? I don't know. Anyway, it's a bubbling fountain, and apparently it's very springy. Oh, it's Rockefeller Center.
That's
okay.
Right.
Yes. Well, right now we have a northwest wind still at 12 miles an hour, 50% relative humidity and a rising barometer, 30.13 inches. We zoomed all the way up to 48 today, bounded down to 39 overnight, and in the morning the sun will actually rise at 6:35. We'll probably see it. It will set at 7:24 tomorrow evening. And right now, temperatures in the 30s and 40s at 11 o'clock around the tri-state. They're going lower. Let's look at why. First on the satellite picture, the low, this mass of clouds moving away. Now we see here a high pressure ridge building in, and to the south another clump of clouds. We're hoping that the precipitation from the clouds stays to the south, but stay tuned. That's all subject to change. Falling back around freezing north of the city and below, and it's going to be chilly. The sky will clear. The winds will be from the northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour, staying from that direction at that velocity right on into tomorrow. Temperatures in the morning with lots of sunshine, trying to get up and out of the 30s, and later on in the day succeeding, climbing into the 40s to near 50. Northwest wind persisting at 10 to 15 miles an hour, but we could see some sunshine. Should be lovely, too. Tomorrow, remember, set your clock ahead 1 hour tonight before you hit the hay. 50, the forecast high tomorrow. And then it'll be mostly sunny tomorrow, partly sunny Monday, and 54. Clouds and a chance of some rain on Tuesday, 48 degrees. Wednesday, back to partly cloudy, 52 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny and 55. Sad to say our nighttime lows are going to stay in the 30s, but spring is on the way. It's just waiting for a green light somewhere. That's your forecast. Have a good night.
All right, Ira, we will. Thank you. And when we come back with more news on News 4 New York, a look at some of New York's most artistic posters on display in Manhattan, and the NCAA gets down to its Final Four. We've got more for you. Stay with us.
For Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
So were you surprised at how the Final Four turned out?
Yes, I was. I was half right, half wrong.
I'll let you tell us which was the half right.
Okay, right. Either North Carolina or Michigan will be crowned national basketball champion on Monday night. They're the survivors of the Final Four tonight in New Orleans. In the first semifinal, North Carolina eliminated Kansas by 10 points. North Carolina's 7-footer Eric Montross was a target. Looked like the Jayhawks' strategy was to infuriate him. It did not work. The crew cut kept his cool, didn't retaliate. He burned Kansas with 23 points. Tar Heels led by 4 at the half. Adonis Jordan of the Jayhawks with a 3. He totaled 19 points, keeping it close in the second half. North Carolina's lead down to 3 when Donald Williams nailed this 3, and the Tar Heels were in command. Rex Walters of Kansas lost the ball twice in a row down the stretch. Derek Phelps, another New York product. North Carolina reached the title game 78-68. Dean Smith, the only coach to reach his Final Four in 4 separate decades.
Today's game, you know, I did feel fairly good about, but there were still a lot of shots that I thought should have gone in. You know, but I think, and there were obviously better things on defense that I can do and hitting the boards harder. But I think that overall, I just have to give credit to the guys who got me the ball.
In the other semifinal, Michigan upset Kentucky in overtime by 3 points. This was the surprise. Kentucky junior Jamal Mashburn, another New Yorker, scored 13 of the Wildcats' first 22 points. Mashburn is turning pro. He looks like a blue chipper. Michigan's sophomore Chris Webber may go too. His inside game hurt Kentucky. Wolverines led by 5 at the half. Andre Riddick of Kentucky capped a 10-0 run that wiped out a 10-point deficit. After several ties, they went to overtime. And in OT, Mashburn scored 3 points, but he fouled out here with 26 points, and Kentucky wilted without its scoring threat. Ray Jackson's drive put Michigan ahead for a good 78-77. Michigan took it 81-78. So it's North Carolina against Michigan in the championship game on Monday night. Women's hoops, tomorrow's title game matches Ohio State and Texas Tech. Hockey, Rangers off, Islanders and Devils lost. So the 5th-place Rangers stayed 3 points behind the Islanders for a playoff spot. Islanders and Canadians tied 1 up in the second period. Brian Mullen from behind the net. Somehow it glanced off the Montreal goalie's stick, and the Islanders took a 2-1 lead. Third period, Brian Bellows scored for the Canadians past Glenn Healy, and it was 2-2. And Montreal's Vincent Damphousse popped the game winner for Montreal. Islanders lost 3-2. And in the final seconds, Islanders buzzing. Pat Flatley's shot somehow stopped by Andre Rasico. He made the kick save, and of course, it was a beauty everywhere but on Long Island. Devils at Toronto. Here's the only goal of the game. Doug Gilmour scored for the Maple Leafs less than 4 minutes to go. New Jersey lost to Squeaker 1-0. Well, baseball came to town today. The Yankees and Mets at Shea Stadium on a cool, damp afternoon. Here's your Yankees offensive highlight. Sid Fernandez serving up a gopher ball at Bernie Williams. He whacked it over the fence with the bases empty. The only run the Yankees scored. And here's your Yankees defensive highlight. Deion James in left, diving catch, and then he splashed. They were tied 1-1 in the Mets' sixth, bases loaded. Neil Heaton, belted by Jeff Kent, watched the ball stick in the mud on the fly. The triple scored all 3 runners. Mets took the lead 4-1. They won it 5-1. P.S. Dwight Gooden came up as a pinch hitter. He was banned by Steve Farr. Doc, that is an overmatch. With the Kentucky Derby a month from today, the 3-year-olds are prepping. An Aqueduct, Gotham Stakes taken by As Indicated, and the Santa Anita Derby had a stirring finish. Personal Hope on the rail fought off the challenge of the only filly in the field, 2-year-old champion Elisa. Union City came up to take second place, while Elisa faded to third, snapping a 4-game winning streak. Personal Hope by a neck. More proof that athletes are bigger, stronger, and more agile than ever before. Best high school players in the country in competition. Watch Jerry Stackhouse jump over a teammate, Jeff McGinnis, for a slam. Stackhouse over McGinnis, who's 6 feet 3 inches. Stackhouse is going to play for the University of North Carolina. And that's our Saturday night sports.
Okay, Sal, thank you. Finally, if you're a serious collector or just interested in taking a look, the International Vignette Poster Fair, well, it's in town. It's at the St. Moritz Hotel on Central Park South in Manhattan. The posters include examples of both American and European poster designs from the 1890s to the 1980s. There's Art Deco, there's Art Nouveau, World War I and World War II posters. You can also find movie, circus, and travel posters. Looks like an interesting event. Let the buyer beware, though. Prices range from $50 to $75,000. That's our news from now. Join us tomorrow at 6 o'clock for a complete update on the weekend news. Good night.